let's head home, buddy. One minor problem that a lot of us have with these old cars is little wear on the steering wheel, especially on the top where we grab it with our sweaty hands or oil on our hands or whatever. And this is really easy to fix. Most people neglect it though, but it's, you know, a 10-minute fix. So I'm going to show you how to do it. Let's get to it. Probably not showing up too well on this video, but the top of this steering wheel is worn and it's kind of porous looking, a little rough to the touch. This is a 95 9000 Aero with 170,000 miles. So lots of hands have been on this steering wheel. So I'm going to show you how to just quick fix this up, dye it up, put a protective coat on, and it'll be good as new. Now, if you have a lot of wear on this steering wheel, not just around the top where mine is, you could take the wheel off and do it in the shop, in your garage or whatever. That way you could get around, you know, not miss any spots. But this just has a little bit of wear right here. So I'm going to do it in the car. Starting off with 300 grit sandpaper. I'm just going to scuff it up a little bit, smooth it off. You don't want to go too deep because it is leather. You could go right through the surface color. I have a little scratch right here that I'm going to smooth off. Light touch on the sandpaper. All you want to do is take the surface layer off and maybe fix some of that porosity on the top. This is 600 grit. Just smoothing it down. The scratch. Nice and smooth. Still going to see a little surface scratch because that goes really deep and I don't want to go into the leather that much. All of this UV damage and damage from the oils of the hands you can kind of smooth. So I started off with 300 grit, lightly sanding, and this is 600. I'm a little more aggressive with it. And this porosity that was on the top, smoothing that out really nice. Nice and smooth. Next step, you got to clean that off with a little isopropyl alcohol. You can really see when that's clean how once this is dyed and a top coat is put on there, how it's going to look a lot better. You can still see this scratch, but it's a lot smoother than it was. Okay, next step is we're going to dye this. I use this stuff, Phoebing's dye. It's really cheap. Get it on Amazon. I've had this for a couple of years and I've still got some left. So basically what I'm going to do, this is foam. I'm just going to pat it, kind of pat it on. That way there won't be any streaks. It may take several coats. On it nice and dark. Now where the sanding has kind of roughened the surface of the leather, it will be like, you know, a little flannel type burr but we'll take care of that later with the top coat. So just patting it. Get a lot of dye to soak right in there. And I usually do the whole section. And that scratch is barely noticeable now. And go over it and over it. Make sure that soaks right into the leather, because the sanding has taken off the acrylic top coat, and the acrylic top coat was kind of deteriorated anyway from the UV light and the body oils. All right, I think we're gonna let that dry, and then as soon as that dries, we'll come back and wipe off any excess and put a top coat on there. Okay, next step is just to wipe off any excess with a microfiber. I let it dry for about 30 minutes. And coming off clean. After that, we're going to put a top coat, this Fiebing's Neutral Resolene Protective Acrylic Finish for Leather. And we're going to give several coats of this, letting it dry in between. We want to make sure that we don't get too aggressive with this, because it will leave bubbles. So same thing, a little foam, and we're going to pat it on. Gently pat it on. That's all there is to it. This is the first coat. I suspect I'm going to put 2 or 3 coats on. And you know that all modern automotive leathers these days, unless you have a $1 million car, has top coated leather, and steering wheel is no different. So the steering wheel has the natural leather with a base coat and a top coat, just like the clear coat on a car. So all I'm doing is we replaced the base coat with the dye. Now I'm replacing the top coat with this Resolene acrylic stuff. Both the Resolene acrylic and the Fiebing's dye, I think no more than $5 or so on Amazon. So with a little sandpaper, 15 minutes to an hour of your time, you can fix up the top of your steering wheel. All right, I'm going to let that dry. Like I said before, if you get too aggressive, it's gonna leave bubbles. We don't want that. Okay, here we are. It's about 2 hours, I guess, after I put the first coat of clear on. I'm going to use this other stuff just to show you that there are different products on the market. This is a little less shiny than the Resolene, but they both do the same thing. So this is all nice and dry. It's pretty smooth. I'm going to put another coat on. Let that dry. I use this a lot. This one seems to do okay if you kind of brush, streak it, drag it on. Doesn't leave any bubbles like the Resolene. So I'm gonna just smooth it on. and let this one dry. And that's it. After that dries, I'll decide if I need a third coat. Okay, that's about 3 coats. All that's left is just to rub it down a little bit with microfiber. And then I'm going to put a coat of 303 protectant on it. Okay, I've wiped it all down with isopropyl alcohol. Got my 303. Never spray it directly on the surface. Spray it on a microfiber. And I'm just wiping the whole wheel down. This is a UV protectant. Really good stuff. I use it for everything. Seats, door panels, dashboard, you name it. Does not leave a residue. Just protects. That's all it does. And there you go. That looks great. All of that wear from the top is all gone. Perfect. Saab on. Saab Magic Man.